In this video, I'm going to show you the delicate balance between expectation to also not being attached to the outcome and how right when we get to the middle of that, everything begins to change. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you the power of expectation and the paradox of how we can expect something to happen but not be attached to the outcome at the same time. What I'm gonna show you are some practical tools towards really being able to surrender to a more expansive energy within you that will transform the way you see the world and the way that you really learn how to trust the process. Now, a lot of the information on this channel has been about the law of attraction, but what I want to do is I want to begin going deeper than just the law of attraction. I want to explain how there's a consciousness within you that when you expand yourself beyond just the ego mind, just the ego perspective, there is so much more available to you and there's really so much more of what you can attain. Now, let's look at it from this. When it comes to understanding the ego, realize that what we can create from our ego, at a certain level, our ego is necessary in order for us to have a physical experience, in order for us to determine what our likes are and what our dislikes are. So it's still a necessary component. The issue is when we become identified with the ego and thinking that our ego has to do everything. That's when resistance many times will come up, because what we do is we put everything on our back. We say, I can't think this one negative thought, and then we build resistance around it. We think, I can't do this, or I have to do everything to do with it. It's about understanding the balance of doing everything you can in the present moment, so also being present to the moment, but not being attached to how things happen. Now, what happens is when we let go and we start to trust the process, we expand ourselves out, and then the universe, whatever label we want to give it, can start to actually work for us. There is a huge difference when you start to do this. Now, let me give you an example. If I were to tell you that I was going to take you to Mexico next week, you didn't have anything to worry about, I was going to take you to Mexico. Now, then I would say, hey, we're going to leave on this day and we're going to go. Now, the idea is that if I were to say that and you were to start worrying about it, you were to keep overanalyzing it and keep thinking about it, you would build up negative resistance there and it wouldn't be necessary. Now, what if the idea were you were to just trust the process? In the same way you would trust if I were to tell you I were to take you to Mexico next, or somebody you know would take you, because, you know, maybe idealistically that, you know, realistically that's not going to happen, but who knows, maybe one day. But the idea is that if someone that you trust and know were to tell you that, you would trust the process and you would just say, okay. But many times what we do is we put it out there that we want something, that we expect something to happen, but then we start going over the details and we start looking at how everything's going to happen, and we muddle up that energy, we muddle up that focus. Now, what we can learn to do is to simply trust the process in knowing that we must do the best we can do in the present moment, but there's a larger scale of energy. Now, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to show another example, and I show this chart all the time. It's going to be the benchmark for a lot of the things I explain because it's about elevating the states of consciousness. Look at this chart of emotion and understand that when we are in the egotistical or the self-image part of manifestation, so we're focused on our self-image, that is mainly what we could call the third chakra, right? That is the willpower that we have, that is the identification. There's a certain level of success that we can have from manifesting from that point of view and having those perspectives. But we get into a completely new paradigm when we decide to observe it, we decide to willingness and observe it, neutrality, we decide to let it go, and we start coming from a point of love. We start coming from a point of service to others. We start coming from this higher perspective. This higher perspective of when we're in more of the consciousness of love, that is where there is so much more power, because then it's not about what our ego can do, it's about what we can do. It's about a more expanded perception where we realize that it's not just about us, it's also about what we can give. This is a higher level paradigm. And in order to see from this higher level paradigm, what we must be able to do is to trust the process. Now, how do we go about trusting the process? It comes from the perspectives that we have. It comes from the underlying basis for the way we see the law of attraction process. Is it all about us thinking and us putting our energy into what we want and what we want to create? Well, it's part of it. And the thing is people will, in the beginning of the process of learning the law of attraction, they will get really good results because prior everything was on autopilot and we weren't aware of it. But now that we are aware of it, we can take ourselves to the next level by trusting the process and having the perspective that what we can do is just expect but not be attached to how that comes. Anytime that we are focused on the details, anytime we are seeing everything in our life as parts, that's where things begin to get segregative, and that's where the muddled up comes on. So what we can learn to do is to trust the process. All we simply have to do is we have to focus on the whole rather than the part. We have to focus on defining things in our life as integrative, as a part of the process, and the more that we do that, the more that we feel like we can trust the process. Imagine that somebody that you trust and that always follows through told you that something's going to happen. That kind of trust that you would have because they've always said that they're going to do something, they always do it. That same kind of trust you can have when you declare and expect something to happen, but you don't need to get in there and muddle it up by trying to understand every component of it. Get out of the intellectual mind and into the heart. That's where we evolve ourselves from the ego of the willpower and the third chakra up to the heart. That's where a lot of the power is, and that's where we really begin to see massive results. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification gear right next to the button that you see right there so that you can see my daily vids. And other than that, I will see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, and namaste.